All right, McCarr asks, since Uriah Hall is on tough, how has his presence affected your training camps at Team Tiger Schulman?
Well, McCarr, we use the same sense of motivation in all training camps, and is that everybody that's in our camp that goes out there and is successful, whatever they bring back to the camp as far as motivation, as far as like how happy we are for them, it kind of just gives us a little bit of like that motivation. Like we see somebody who does well, we want to do as well as they do. We support each other and everything. As of now, Uriah's not been around. He's doing his own thing right now, and he's been in training, focusing on his own career right now at the UFC, and hats off to him for that. I wish him the best. But just like whether it's Uriah or anybody else in our training camp, we got Louis Gaudino, Nick Pace, a lot of other guys who are up and coming, and they're in training. Every time they go out, they're successful, and they bring back wins to the table. They bring back wins, and that sense of motivation and that happiness that they bring with them, that's always a plus for us as a training camp altogether, because we always want to root for each other as a team.
Do you often go to other camps to train, and if so, which camps have the most promising prospects in your eyes?
I've done my share of traveling, just like in any level, anybody who's at an elite level in in mixed martial arts, you have to be able to cross train a little bit and allow yourself the ability to see how you fare against other people, and I definitely done my travel within the East Coast. You got a lot of the guys, in Florida, out in ATT, we got camps out there we trained with before. As far as here in New York, there's a lot of talent here in New York, especially. I've been to Marcelo's, rolled with a few of their guys, and honestly, we get a lot of the people that come to Tiger Schulman's out to Jersey, and we'll get like a lot of the guys from K Dojo, a lot of the other Russians, and those guys who come in, and they just go hard, man. We just really push the pace in training. And other than that, I've not really done as much traveling these days. I've been just focusing, just being at the gym right now, and just staying with Tiger Schulman's, and just anybody who's open to coming through to the New Jersey location.
What other organizations, like besides the UFC and Bellator, would you like to fight for? Even for just a one-fight deal. There's M1, KSW in Poland, World Series of Fighting, maybe somewhere in Japan.
Japan would be great, actually. There's nothing better than being able to do two things that you enjoy doing most. One is fighting, the other is traveling. So that'd be a great opportunity for me. I would love to do something like that. I think the other right now that's up and coming is Glory. It's definitely an opportunity I'd like to seize at one point. And, just have my, just dabble a little bit in Muay Thai and kickboxing. Other than that, I think because I have the liberty of being able to fight anywhere, now that, I'm a free agent, I have the time to do so, I would love to fight anywhere right now. There's nothing that I'm predisposed to not doing at this point. I just want to get out there, just stay busy. And like I said, if it involves traveling, that's definitely a plus for me.
Having never been knocked out or submitted, how much does that boost your confidence? And does that confidence allow you to feel more comfortable or put more risk to go for the finish?
I think the more risk you put yourself in training, and the fact that you've been very close to like those knockouts, and there's a lot of submissions involved in training, allows for you to go out there more comfortably and not allow that to happen during a fight. I would like to think that I've just been lucky, and at the same time I trained for it, to not let something like that happen. When you're training, man, I just try to make everything as real as possible, and if I train, when I do my kickboxing without headgear and try to let the guy just go loose and, really try to take my head off, it just kind of helps my confidence whenever I go out and I fight. And the same thing with grappling. As long as I'm out there and I'm doing a lot of the competitions like Grappler's Quest, and, just being active and just doing a lot of jiu-jitsu and my submission game and everything, it kind of makes me more comfortable, so that when I go into the ring, I've been there 1,000 times before. I've almost got KO'd a bunch of times in training. I've been submitted a bunch of times in training. So this way, when I go out into a fight, I've been through the real thing, and I'm not as tense or tentative when I go out there, and it's less likely to happen.
Irish Mike 357 asks, 2 of your 3 losses were against Olympians. What would you change from those fights if you were to fight Hector Lombard in the UFC?
Well, Irish Mike, I think the level of athleticism involved in a lot of people who are Olympians, especially, they train very hard, and that's one thing that I learned from those losses is just that you can't really leave something into the judge's eyes, you know? Those fights have always been close ones, and from my experience, if that was the only thing I would change, it would be that, is that hairline decision, that few seconds where you let off because you think that you're at the top and you're winning and you're up by a few points. I think that would make the difference between me fighting an Olympian before versus against an Olympian now, is where I have to decisively win a fight. I have to go out there, balls to the walls, let everything loose and put everything out there, so that this way there is absolutely no question about whether I won the round or that fight.
Rico is a beast at, assuming you're not just a fighter but also a fan of watching the sport, who are your favorite fighters to watch?
Well, Rico is a beast, cool name by the way. Honestly, there's a lot of fighters that, you know, I kind of grew up watching, but I'm very old school. I love a lot of the old fighters, man. A lot of the Pride fighters. You got Rampage Jackson, Vanderlei Silva. Vanderlei Silva is a personal favorite of mine, man. He's crazy. He goes out there and just throws everything he's got in those hands, man. As far as, you know, the type of persona and the type of honor that they display in the sport, I definitely have to say George St. Pierre, because of the level of respect that he has, not only for himself but for the sport as well, and how he portrays himself as an athlete. And I feel like he brings honor into the sport, which is definitely something that we need, especially if this is an opening for another forum, if we ever want to get MMA legalized in New York one day.
Who is your biggest influence in pursuing a fighting career?
To be honest, my biggest influence is not a fighter, actually, but a fighter in life, rather. It's my own mother. She's somebody who's definitely pushed me to want to do something that I feel like I love doing in life, you know, something that would make me ultimately happy. And at the time, she didn't even know if it would have been fighting or if it would have been anything else, you know, and I've pursued all avenues of opportunities as far as going through school, as far as, you know, picking up different jobs to see where I fit in life and where my niche is in life. And I found it in fighting, and once my mom saw that I had that passion for it, she pushed me so hard to pursue that, to go out there. And if I'd show up home when I first started training with, like, from beatings and black and blues, bloody noses and black eyes, she wasn't soft on me, I'll tell you that much. She would just make me, like, tell me, like, all right, just, you know, just toughen up a little bit, we'll go tomorrow, we'll go out there and we'll whip that guy's ass again. So my mom's always been my strongest motivator in life. Outside of my mother, within the organization, it's definitely the Schulmans, Ron Schulman and Danny Schulman, who've been basically like my fathers. You know, they've been there every step of the way in my career to push me to be the best man that I could possibly be, not just in MMA, but outside of the cage as well.
Of all your fights, which has been your favorite?
It's hard to say because every fight that I've had before has presented itself with something different to me in my life. But I think, I mean, it's not a hard question to answer. It's really when I won the title in Bellator in the inaugural season when I first opened up for them. It was definitely a feeling of validation for me, you know. So me winning that belt and having that strap around my waist was more than just a gold around my waist. To me, it was like a sense of validation. I validated myself as a person, not just in the MMA community, but just as a person individually, based on the things I've been through in life before, man. Because seeing how great that feeling was, being in the middle of that cage, winning that belt, I thought many years ago before that an opportunity like that would never come to me in my life. You know, so I worked so hard to be there, and then finally when it happened, it validated me. It was such a great feeling. So I would have to say that that's my favorite fight.
Someone's phone's going off. All right, Phil Fenn asks, what's your favorite video game? Do you even play video games?
Yeah, I play video games. I mean, when I'm off, you know, my off time, if I have the time for it. As far as video games, probably Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear series. You know, I'm a big fan of like that whole military, tactical espionage type of stuff. And any shooter games, really, man. I've always been big on that. When I was in military school, we used to do a lot of like shooting and stuff before, so I'm a big fan of that.
Do you prefer a KO or a submission?
KO. KO for sure. KO is, I feel like, one of the most dominating ways of just ending a fight. There's no question about it. There's no you and your opponent still standing. It's one person standing, the other person is down.
M&M's, plain or peanut?
Peanuts, of course.
Who's your dream fight in the UFC?
Dream fight in the UFC. I don't really put much thought into that one. I think, I don't know, to be honest. I think right now, the other fight that I think needs to happen that for some reason isn't yet would have to be like putting Silva against Machida, or one of those fights where I feel like two people who are very skilled craft warriors and people who are great in their stand-up, to put them to the test against each other. I know there's this whole, where people feel let down because of his loss against Weidman, but as far as skill set, I would definitely want to see somebody like of Silva's caliber against somebody like a Machida maybe, or a John Jones even more so, because of the whole element of old school versus new school, and seeing how John Jones is a beast, and he's very unreal. It's like he's the new generation of MMA, so it'd be great to see a fight like that where someone like him against an old school or somebody who's been around for a long time and very skilled like Silva.
Who would you fight as your dream fight in the UFC?
Who would I fight? I've said a lot of times that me coming up through the ranks in any organization, I always put myself in the bottom, man. So I don't feel like I have the right to say that I want to fight this person or that person, because I'm not up there yet, but I would want to fight whoever is champion at the time, because that is the ultimate goal. You want to prove yourself that you are the best. In order to do that, you have to beat the best. So in the 170-pound division, of course, you have St. Pierre, and that would definitely be a dream fight, out of honor, out of respect, because he is somebody I looked up to as well, but also just to prove yourself against somebody who is a world-class athlete.
That's all their questions, but I got one question for you.
Shoot.
Which was more of a proud moment for you, winning the Bellator belt or seeing your face on a billboard in Times Square?
They were both very unreal. I think the whole billboard on Times Square it was more funny to me almost, because it was just surreal. Every time when I stopped by to go see it, it's like, is this real? Like, is that really my face up there on that? But I don't know. It's like I said, it's yet another thing that's validated me as a person to show. It's kind of like on the way towards working hard, and in that road, you kind of have these little things that like are thrown in your way to show you that you're doing well, you're on the right track, and all your hard work comes into fruition. And I think that's one of the biggest, the best feelings. It's not so much what it is or whether it's a picture here or your name there in bright lights or any of that stuff. It's not about glitz and glamour for me. It's more about the fact that all my hard work is coming into fruition, and to know that it's proving to, it's working. It's something that's like people are starting to notarize, and people are starting to recognize my name little by little. And that's something that over as long as Earth has existed, the only things that men as people have always wanted is just their names to be remembered. That's something that's folklore, it's age long, and it's something that's still embedded even in our genes till this day.
All right, that's it. Thanks again.
Thank you.